Vincent Paredes is an executive chef and co-owner of the Farmhouse in Kansas City's River Market. Born and raised in this city, Vince has always had a passion for cooking, which started at a very young age. He sits with Enterrupt KC to discuss his upbringing, his cooking influences, journey to being an executive chef, buying the farmhouse in 2018, and so much more. Believe me, Kansas City, this is a restaurant experience you will want at least once, twice, okay, maybe over and over again. This is Enterrupt KC. Enjoy this episode.
Welcome back to Enterrupt KC, the podcast dedicated to people, places, and things right here in Kansas City. I'm your man, D-Rod. This is JL.
What up, D-Rod?
What's up, man?
Man, you know what? It's a good week, man.
Hey, man,
it's a good week.
It's a real good week, man.
The weather been crazy, though, man. Hail. I mean, it hailed this morning where I live.
Yeah, it did. It did. And some of the people, so many people out there, man, got hit kind of hard or something. I did not.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, I did not.
Okay.
Yeah,
like all of a sudden, like out of nowhere, like sounds like rocks are being thrown at the house. Like, what's going on, man? The apocalypse is happening.
Man, no shit.
But man, you know what, man? I want to give a shout out, man, and it's something I got to give D-Rod credit on this because you sent it to me and you were like, yo, check this out. And it is the Bishop Ward baseball team over in Kansas City, Kansas, man. Shout out to those players. Shout out to the coaches. Shout out to the school, the parents, everybody. They went 20-0. Is that what I read?
Yeah, man, 20-0, man. They're taking names, man. And
20-0,
undefeated,
man. What
man.
an incredible season, man. So shout out Bishop Ward, Cyclones, I think.
I believe that is.
You know, shout out, man, all you people, all you parents, anybody seeing this, share it to the parents because we want to give them a shout out,
Yeah, the
man.
baseball team. Man.
I see those kids, man, playing reminds me of me, man, just like young Hispanic kid playing out there in the city, man, you know. So, and I read that a lot of those kids play RBI too,
right,
which is a league I played in, man. So I can relate.
And also, I think that it's been that way. They've been undefeated for a few years now, man.
No way.
Yeah. I read into that article, man, and you know, for sure, man. Shout out to anybody who knows any of them kids, any of them parents, any of that coaching staff in that school, Bishop Ward, man. They're doing great things over there.
Love to talk to somebody over there.
Yeah,
right?
man. Anybody knows them, drop a name, drop a number in the comments, you know, and let us know, man.
Absolutely.
Big shout out to that team and that organization there, the athletes, man.
Yes, sir.
You know, I wanted to also give a shout out, man, since we're talking about that. You know, this past weekend, we celebrated Cinco de Mayo celebrations, man, right?
We did.
And I went to both. I went to the one on the west side there, 23rd Street, and I went to the one on Rudy's, man. So I want to give a shout out to all of our people that acknowledge and that support, right? You people out there, man, I just want to, man, we appreciate it.
Absolutely.
You know, the way you guys came up and the way you shook my hand and the way you like, hey, man, we've been watching, you know, that means a lot, right? I mean, we're our support group, which is the community, which is the city, what we're doing here, and just giving that acknowledgement. Man, thank you very much. It does go a long way. You know, I wish I could talk to every single one of you a little bit longer, you know, but I was having a good time just like everybody else, man. So everybody from down there, Guadalupe Center and at Rudy's Stanapa, man, when I was out there kicking it, thank you for coming up to talking to me, man.
The home team, man. Hashtag home team. You know what I'm saying?
Man. Yeah, for sure.
So with that, man, tonight, though, D-Rod, we have an incredible guest, man.
It's right up my alley, man.
Listen. I was telling this individual, I said, look, man, I came in this spot and I knew almost like the second time, probably even the first, I saw this gallo, man, this rooster. And I was like, hey, Kansas City, here is your chance to experience Chef Vince Paredes cooking and the farmhouse yourself by participating in our raffle to receive this gift card to the farmhouse in Kansas City's River Market. All you have to do is subscribe to the Enterrupt KC YouTube channel, follow us on either Facebook or Instagram, share this episode, and tag Enterrupt KC. The raffle winner will be drawn in the next 10 days. Good luck
and enjoy this episode.
There's somebody Hispanic, somebody Mexican runs this place and I think I asked, I was like, hey man, you guys selling that rooster art? And they're like, nah man, it's the owner, man. They ain't selling that. And I was like, okay. But they did acknowledge a Hispanic person helps run this restaurant, owns the restaurant. Yeah. So with that, man, I think it's time to interrupt our guest.
Let's do it, man. I'm ready, man.
And by interrupt, y'all know we mean introduce our guest.
You already know what it is.
So we are going to introduce Mr. Chef himself, Vince Paredes, man.
What's going on, guys?
What's up, Vince, man? How you doing?
And
man?
he even got the rooster, the Gallo, man. Look at his hat.
Oh yeah. So I saw a couple of your episodes, and I saw that you had one similar to this,
That's
and I was
right.
like, if he wears it, I'm gonna go ahead and just go with my my farmer hat.
I should have wore mine, but you also, and I didn't say this, you a KU guy too.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, man, I'm gonna rock some Kansas stuff, D-Rod. I gotta rep for my boy, man.
I'm rocking the food shirt, man, because T-bone steak, cheese, eggs.
That's Biggie, man. That's Biggie. Come on.
But it's a food,
too,
but it's the food, bro. It's a food deal, man.
Vince, you think after this you can cook us up some T-bone steak?
Oh, you know it. I got you. Name it.
Well, let it be known. He just hooked us up something right now, big and fat, man.
And sorry, it's gone. We got video though.
Man, we got video,
some photos,
man.
right?
It's gone.
But check it out, Vince, man. For those that don't know, where are we right now?
We're at 3rd and Delaware in the River Market.
Mm-hmm. And what's the name of this place?
We're at the Farmhouse.
Farmhouse KC, right?
That's it.
So, Vince, you're one of the executive chefs here, right? Here at the farmhouse. And so we're here in the River Market. Tell us, man, just people would want to know, like, okay, Vince Paredes, he's down here at the River Market, but where is this dude from? Like, where is he from?
Good question. I'm from Kansas City, so I'm from the Kansas side, which I know a lot of my
born and raised.
Oh yeah. I was born at KU Med, so Jayhawks from day one, right?
right.
Through God's good grace, my brother.
You know it. And Bill Self we trust. Hey, grew up in Roland Park.
Okay.
Roland Park, Kansas. Went to St. Agnes grade school, Bishop Miege High School.
Okay.
And just kind of, run around the city in total. My grandmother down on the west side, so going down and getting tenderloins literally just right down the street.
Tenderloin grill?
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, man.
You ever do the pig snoot?
I have done the pig snoot in front of my cousins who were essentially daring me to. I mean, it's not for everybody. I mean, it's just like biting into a bunch of fat.
It made you want to be a chef. You're like, I know if they're selling this, they can cook.
Have you tried the snoot?
Come on, my dad, man. Yeah. He ate a pig from the rooter to the tutor. That's what he said.
Right.
Tip to tail.
I've tried it too, but they're not my thing.
Hey, they had good hamburgers too, by the way.
That's right.
But so you're from Miege, man, and what you graduated and everything like that, man. So tell us about your family, bro. Like, what's your family makeup look like? You got brothers, sisters, parents, everything?
Yeah. I have I'm the youngest of 5. I have an older brother who's the next oldest than me by 2 years, and then 3 older sisters. Separating by about 15, 16 years for 2 of them. Like I said, and then we have the middle child, my sister Jenny.
Okay.
But yeah, growing up with them, my sisters were kind of like parents, when I was young.
Oh, of course.
They were older.
I know something about that, man.
I know you can relate. I can relate. My sister almost kind of raised me.
It's the truth, and very happy that they were around. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Had good influences my whole life.
That's
really blessed that way.
Yeah. What's their names?
Starting from the oldest is Maria, then Gina, Jenny, and Rudy's my brother.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So, man, you got to ask this question, right? Because you're a chef now. So, man, like, was cooking a thing in the house? I mean, who was the cook in the house, man?
Kind of who wasn't the cook in the house, to tell you the truth.
Everybody had to do their share, right?
Definitely. So my grandfather, growing up, was a big influence. He was all about making chile verde. Chile verde, though, that was red, right?
Right.
And I always ask my mom, I'm like, when I got older, and I said, Mom, why does Grandpa call it chile verde if it's red? And she said, because the chiles that go into it are green. And I'm like, oh. So my grandfather had a few different ways of looking at things, or maybe just the part of Mexico that he came from.
Sure, absolutely.
The way he said things like, sopa, right?
Sopa.
Right.
So now sopa is so controversial for me when I'm talking about it, because are you talking about rice?
So you're all technical about it now, right?
I mean, it's
or soup. Some people call it
exactly.
soup, right?
So I ask people all the time. I ask my own friends and stuff, and they'll be like, "No, I mean, yeah, sopa is rice to me too, but I guess I would say sopa if I was talking about soup or caldo or whatever."
Yeah.
But yeah. So there's some of those things I didn't know if it was just like my grandpa's way of doing something, or if it was legit like that's
like the right way.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Exactly. So growing up, man, you realize that I don't know that there is the right way. You're using those local ingredients,
for sure,
and you're putting them together, and you come up with your best product. And just doing.
So
respect
was there like competitions in the house, like who can cook the best or anything like that?
No, not for real. It was my grandfather cooked a lot. My mom cooked with him all the time.
Yeah.
And so that was just me getting into it. She says I was 7 years old when it first started
really
being in the kitchen and just hanging around and wanting to know what they were doing.
Flipping
and started
tortillas
cooking.
And stuff.
Flipping tortillas, asking, learning how to make sopaderos. I mean, learning how to make the rice.
Yeah.
Was a pretty monumental memory for me. Because my mom was talking about boiling the rice, bringing it up to a boil for a minute, covering it, and then bringing it down to a simmer for the rest of the time. Don't touch it, and leave it alone. So
on heat or off the heat?
On the heat.
Okay.
Yeah, on the heat, she would just turn it way down. Just so there was just a little bit of steam just still in there, making sure the rice was getting nice and fluffy. And so the concept behind going hot real fast for a purpose and then dropping it was just really cool to me, that you can come up with this product from something like that.
I can relate with that 100%, man. 100%.
Was it like growing up, particularly in a Mexican American household, right? I mean, there had to just be a tremendous amount of Mexican food, man.
Oh yeah.
So was it like constant Mexican food, or was there
a little bit of everything? My mom loves to cook everything too. You know what I mean? She wasn't just tied to cooking Mexican food. She loved learning too. She loved learning a new recipe. It didn't have to be Mexican.
She still be cooking right now?
Yeah. So we make it a point to try to get together and cook a little bit together. We know that's not always going to be the case, and it's something her and I were talking about just the other day. Is like, you know what, we need to make sure we keep that going. I mean, specifically cooking with my mom. I hear Lee Oscar in my head, the harmonica player from War, because that's what we would play when we were cooking together, man. And the memory specifically is a sunny day with the back door open and cooking. Listen to some Lee Oscar.
Man. Don't get D-Rod started on the harmonica.
Man, we were just talking about that, man. Talking about that, man.
I'm just waiting for him to show up with the harmonica.
I'm going to bust it out one day. I'm going to bust it out.
Yeah, I want to hear that.
That's good, man. Those are good memories, man. Yeah, like we all have those too. Those are great. Those are cherished, man. Those forever, man. Is there a dish that your mom makes now, like her signature dish or something that you remember?
My mom makes me the same thing every birthday.
For your birthday?
Oh yeah, every birthday. It's the same thing. It's the it's the arroz, it's the chile verde, and then it's also strawberry cake with strawberry icing, with strawberry ice cream. Wow. But specifically hers. I don't really like strawberry cake in general. Most of it is artificial, and it tastes artificial, and it's just not all that good. My mom does it right.
She does it fresh with like the fresh
strawberries mashed into the frosting and everything. The flour into the cake and all that.
What's your mom's name, man?
Linda.
Shout out Linda. Shout out Linda.
Maybe she'll watch this.
Maybe.
She will.
Yeah,
she will. My mom's proud. She watches everything.
Miss Linda, can we get some strawberry cake?
Hey, I would pay for that strawberry cake. I'll tell you right now.
It's worth it.
That's great, man.
I believe it.
But man, cooking with them was wanting to chase a feeling. You know what I mean? Early.
Yeah.
The way that came out, and I can remember my first cooking by myself experience was baking. And because as long as you can follow a recipe, as long as you can read it and follow it and understand that principle, it should come out right.
For sure, for sure.
Well, I get into her recipes and I find this like Mississippi mud recipe, Mississippi mud brownie recipe, where it gets marshmallow fluff drizzled through it at the very end, so it looks like a river or something.
Oh yeah.
So I remember making that when it came out. Man, I didn't tell her I was doing it. She was asleep upstairs, which is a bad recipe, but it all came out right. It came out right. I wouldn't woke her up and everything to tell her about it. And man, you chase that feeling. Yeah. You know what I mean? From dish to dish to dish, you chase that feeling.
100%.
And that's the start. That was the start there, man.
Yeah.
And you say you were 7?
Yeah.
Around 7, man.
7 years old when I probably first started. When that happened, maybe 8 or 9. I mean, it wasn't long after. I was ready to keep doing more and more
You was
stuff.
in the kitchen then, just doing it, learning it, man, just everything else.
You know, like people say, and I agree. I mean, you know, being around cooking and just food, right? I mean, we think about the history of people, like that's what brought people together. You know, because we went from just being like eating raw meat to like, oh no, we're going to cook our meat, you know, and then all of a sudden we just brought each other closer and closer together.
Well, yeah, you know, they say that the kitchen, right? The kitchen is the #1 meeting place, man, for everybody. I mean, you eat there, you have conversations there, you drink there, you do everything.
Yeah.
Dude, that was the heart of the house growing up. I mean, it really was. That's where we all gathered, like you're saying.
And it still do.
Oh, yeah.
And still do, right?
Yep.
Man.
So, man, did you know Vince, like, I mean, 9 years old, bro. Like, I mean, you're like not even in middle school yet. You're still in elementary school. So,
man, I knew at that age.
You knew
crazy.
at that age, like,
man,
I'm gonna go cook. I'm gonna be a chef.
Yep. I just I never thought about doing anything else.
Okay.
Really nothing. I always thought about cooking, and then just as it just got older, my mom just kept on just kind of feeding that. You know, just kind of if I was making something, she'd show me how to do it, or explain things. I was still out running in the streets and doing all that stuff. But if we came in for a second, and then everybody was getting ready to go do something else, I might have stuck around with my mom instead and stayed inside for a little bit longer. It had my attention very early.
That's great, man.
Cool, man.
So then, okay, let's fast forward a little bit. In the high school, I'm sure that just all progressed, man. It just kept on going and kept on going. Where did you go then? Culinary school or anything?
Yeah, so through high school, I just kept cooking, like you said. I mean, that just never really stopped. All my buddies, they knew me for cooking. They knew that.
What'd they ask you to cook the most?
Really anything. But at that age, a lot of times us running into that out of the house, they were wanting to know what my mom was making. So it wasn't quite as much about what I was making. I would do something if my mom hadn't made something, but it was usually about what my mom made. Fried rice was always their favorite that my mom would make.
Oh, yeah.
We always had rice, you know? She was pretty good at frying that. But after that, school was not, it's not for everybody. Right. It's important. You need to do it. I get it. It's not for everybody. And it wasn't really for me. And I tried to do everything I could to not have to go through college.
Yeah.
I enrolled into a vocational school, Skills USA type.
Okay.
5 days a week, 8 hours a day for 8 months.
Right.
And it's a shotgun, get you into the industry, get you ready for the industry.
Yeah.
I did that. I landed a job with the Argosy Casino afterward in the pastry kitchen.
Oh yeah.
Pastry, like a pastry chef or something?
Yeah. I wasn't a pastry chef. I worked apprenticed under one.
Apprentice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I did that for 2 years. And after that, I just kept finding myself down into the kitchens of the Argosy rather than the bakery. And I just kept cooking. I'd go down to their steakhouse after my shift, and I would just go ask them if I could work with them for a little while. Yeah. So then I realized that I needed to be cooking rather than baking.
You're just getting your feet in there, man.
Yeah, I had such a fascination with baking for a while.
Baking's good too, man. Bacon's good too, man.
It's such a science, and it's tedious.
We don't have anything to show what you baked us, because it's gone. But,
I know.
Man, you're a really good baker. I mean, if that's the right word for it.
Much appreciated.
Yeah,
Much appreciated.
So, but I mean, what does that look like, man? Like coming in, I mean, does everybody have to come in baking? Is that what that looks like?
No, I mean, a lot of people, most of the time, you're either a baker or a savory chef.
Oh, okay.
And it's usually one or the other because it takes a massive amount of focus when you want to bake, because I mean it's a complete science. So you get one thing off, and by a little bit something's not rising, or something it's not spreading, or something's burning or browning too fast.
And it's all about presentation, man. Presentation, man. I mean, if you can get somebody to buy or eat or get something that you made by it looking good, oh man, I imagine that's what it is.
Oh yeah,
right?
no, I mean,
you got to make that mug look good.
Yeah, and that was fun. I mean, all that was fun. I had a really good time. I had a really good experience doing that. But I realized that wasn't it for me. That wasn't all. I wanted. My curiosity in this industry in general was just way too much to contain for just baking alone. So I realized I wanted to go back to school and get a little bit more in-depth experience with cooking. And so I went through JCCC, Johnson County Community College's program. It's a great program. I mean, it was constantly rated in the world, in the country.
Really?
Then for just different criterias met and competitions had and all. So I knew that was a great place. And I always thought that's where I was going to go when I was a kid. I thought it was going to be JCCC. I mean, you hear so much about it.
Yeah. Is it hard to get in there?
No, it's not real hard, but I can tell you that I started out with about 70 people in my class, and I think I graduated doing our graduation dinner with around 9. People just drop out. It's a really hard industry.
They Gordon Ramsay'd them. They
pretty much. I mean, they probably realized it wasn't for them. A lot of people they watch the Food Network. They watch TV cooking shows and stuff. And they're like, I can do that. I know how to do that. And then they come in, and it's not sitting there talking to people, just chopping things and sauteing things. And it's hard work, and you're putting away orders. You're working in a hot kitchen. It's loud.
It's time. It's
being yelled at by the head chef. Hurry up!
It's real time because it's you can't crack under pressure, man. Because you got to put yourself. I imagine, right? I imagine. I could be wrong, right? But you
watch
teach
TV
you.
Shows.
They teach you to do that in order to keep up with the amount of customers you might have or something, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're always being pushed in a different kitchen for different reasons, right? Yeah. And depending on who your chef is, depending on what they're trying to pull out of you or what they see in you compared to what somebody else might see in you or doesn't see in you. Yeah. It all is a little bit different, but at the same time, we're all the same in this industry, and we all understand each other. And it's an industry that if you burn yourself or you cut yourself, there's not a lot of sympathy. It's kind of like, oh man, here, the Band-Aids are over here.
Right.
Or here, put a little bit of cream on it. We got to go,
Kind of like flipping them tortillas on the comadre.
Man, you already know.
Man. Hey, you go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
So, man, that's great, man. I got to ask, Vince, for you coming up, right, like early on, especially whether it was a pastry. Well, I guess let's focus on pastry for now. Mm-hmm. What was that pastry that you got really good at? Do you recall that?
Cinnamon rolls.
Cinnamon rolls?
Oh, yeah.
Man, no wonder why they got good cinnamon rolls here.
It came from learning it at the Argosy. I learned it from a woman that was from Albania.
Really?
Uh-huh. And she would just whip them out too.
What's the trick? Is there a trick to a cinnamon roll?
He's like, I ain't giving away.
It's not even that. I mean, I would tell you. You know what I mean? I can tell you everything. I can give you a recipe, but if you don't have a feel for it,
right. That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm saying. Like that because. My daughter makes cinnamon rolls, you know. She makes from scratch and all that too, and they're damn good.
Yeah.
We all love cinnamon rolls. So I was like, man,
just add more sugar.
cinnamon, more brown sugar.
Or what do they put on it?
I would probably assume the ingredients. If they're more natural, then that's what it is, right?
Yep. Definitely. Sure. I mean, cinnamon, even canela is one of those things that. You can get wrong too. Right. There's a bark, the cassia bark, and that's often used for different cultures' cinnamon.
Okay.
Man.
And ours in Mexico is a lot lighter. It's a lot more brittle, and it has that kind of sweet spice flavor that you love about cinnamon. So even cinnamon, if you kind of get it wrong, that might be somewhere where
that's a good point.
Get a better ingredient.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a good point. Well, opposite of that question, Vince, like what was that pastry that you just was like, man, I can't get it down, or I struggled with early on? Is there one?
Nothing.
Man, I'm just trying to think. I mean, I've messed up plenty of dishes, plenty,
for sure, man.
But I'm trying to think. Even cream puffs, eclairs, and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Even that is kind of something that people can kind of mess up because you really need. Need the
fluff,
air,
that fluff, right?
Yeah, you need your pas de choux. In French, what it is that it's their batter. Yeah. You need that right. You need your temperature right. You can't open up the ovens, otherwise it'll fall.
Right. I've had some fall cream puffs,
Is that what my Aunt Sylvia makes?
She makes some pretty good cream puffs.
Yeah,
and my sister Patty as well.
Yeah, shout out
as well, man. Yeah, they're great.
So, pastry chef, and then what happened after the Argosy events? Where'd you go?
Okay, so I was working with Argosy. I had gone on to JCCC, and the Argosy, man, it was. What's funny about the casinos is they have a budget to where they can keep throwing money at you and be like, "No, we need you here."
I mean,
of course they can. Of course they got it, bro.
So it was more of a situation to where it was like, "No, we can't move you around in here. We need you in the pastry shop." And so I understood that. Look, I understand that's business. You know what I mean? That's what I signed up for. I went back to school on my own time,
right?
So I knew that I just needed out at the end of the day. So I went to a junior chef fundraiser that we had that they have every year.
Okay.
And Chef Bill Spano, he was the executive chef at the downtown Marriott. He was working there.
Oh, okay.
He was in charge of the whole plate up and everything else. And it was a big operation, big fundraiser event. And there was another girl that worked at the Argosy as well, and she worked down in Garmager, working cold stuff for the buffet.
Yeah.
And she was like, this might be a chance to talk to this chef and go work for him. And I was like, that's
at the Marriott.
Yeah, I was like, this is a great idea.
Right.
So another friend, his name's Tate Roberts, also worked for him. He also worked for EBT when EBT was open. He kind of overheard our conversation. He said, I worked for him. He said, if you want to get on with this guy, get his number now, and you're going to need to call him, and you're going to need to bug him, because after tonight, he's going to forget about you. And I was like, okay, I'll do that. So the girl kind of took the lead, and
was she trying to work there too?
She was, I think that he maybe saw something more in her than he did in me, because he was just kind of like, she's the one that approached him first anyway.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I got all that, and I was just trying to get on the coattails and stuff. So we both got his number. The night ends, right? The next day comes around, I'm calling him. And, he's telling me he's going to get right back to me, and eventually he does. And that's just the life of an executive chef in a big hotel, man. He's on the move.
Yeah.
So I didn't take any of that personal. I'm just trying to get on, right?
Sure.
So he calls me back, and we talk a little bit, and he was like, hey, did that other girl want to come too? Right. And I was like, and she was cool. She was cool.
Yeah.
Her name was Nina, but I haven't talked to her since, but she just decided to get out of the program, I guess. And so I was like, I was talking to her. I think she wants to. He's like, all right, well, why don't you guys come up here and talk with me and this and that. And we scheduled a time, so I went up there and I told him, I was like, I didn't hear from her. So I just and I told him this later on. I told him this like a few years later. I was like, man, I was definitely working you to try to get an interview with you up front and personal. And
right.
And so I did, and I landed the job, man. And getting in a hotel that big, that size, doing volume like that, I mean, you're getting great banquet experience from a great team that's been together forever, and most of them were Mexican in the kitchen too.
The Marriott, which Marriott was it?
Right down the street, man, downtown. 12th and Delaware.
Right. The one where they have all the
lights on the windows
in Central. Sorry, the one that lights up.
Lights up.
Yeah. So I got on there, man. They have a butcher shop in there. I mean, they have a pastry shop, which I got to skip because I had already gotten that experience.
Had enough.
Yeah, but going through the program, they have different criteria. You have to hit all of them. And having a hotel that size that does all these different things, I was able to get all of my breakfast hours. I was able to get all my sauté hours, saucier for a while. So it was a great experience. And that guy that had told me, hey, get on, him and I ended up becoming pretty good friends before he moved to Fort Scott. But yeah, he was a great chef, and he had told me. So shout out to you, Tate. Tate, thank you for telling me to get on with Spano. It kind of led me to this point.
Hey,
that's awesome, man. Is Spano still up there?
So Chef Spano had retired actually right when I got my chef de cuisine position. I was already a sous chef, and which meant chef de cuisine meant I was a chef of the entire cuisine. I actually have my own chef de cuisine anymore, who is responsible for the production of everything and being creative and coming up with stuff. Shout out to Luke Taylor, my chef de cuisine. But I did that for a little while. So my first day doing that was his last day at the Marriott. So it was kind of wow. We got to have lunch together and say good luck. And then when I came on here, I reached out to him. I was like, Chef, I don't know what I got myself into, but I bought a restaurant, and I could really use your some words of advice and stuff. So he actually came on for a little while. He helped me go through the place, do an inventory, kind of do some things to kind of set me up on the right path, and then we did this test kitchen with Jenny Vergara, and she does test kitchens around Kansas City for chefs, and she wants them to be able to. She can get a bunch of people in one place and buy your dinner quick, and you get to test out some stuff that you might normally not put on your menu because it might not sell because people think it's controversial or whatever it is, or they might not be ready for that style. Right. But Jenny would help get that together, and so Jenny does a dinner with us, and Chef Spano was able to come back and do a dinner with me in my new place with my team, and they all took a course too, and it was just a really cool I don't know, look back down memory lane with him all the way down to my apprentices. So it was a really cool experience.
That's dope, man. You know what that is, D-Rod?
Hey, man.
That's a salute.
That is a salute.
That's a salute.
That's a salute, man.
Salute, Vince, man.
Salute
Shout out to you,
man.
man. That's incredible story, man.
Thank you, man. So does he still come down here? Chef Spano?
Before COVID.
Okay.
Then after that, he didn't come out for too much. Didn't come up too often. Got a little bit sick. Got better. Yeah. And now he does stuff for, I forgot what the organization is, but he donates his time. And he uses his chef skills working with youth.
That's great,
and cooking and all. So he's great.
You mentioned, Vince, breakfast hours and pastry hours and stuff like that. Talk about that a little bit, man, for people that just like, what does that mean? Because I'm kind of like, what does that mean? How many hours? You know, what are they trying to get out of you for those hours?
It's again, every place is a little bit different. I can tell you that when going back to Chef Spano, when I came on, he said, I'm going to give you a heads up. I use and abuse my apprentices. He said, you're going to get used. You're going to work long hours. You're not going to get paid a lot. You're going to learn a lot. That was the deal. And I was good with it.
Paid off.
It paid off. I would, but again, I would finish my shift, and if there was something that they were making that I wanted to stick around and learn, man, I just gravitate towards food. You gravitate towards learning about it. If it's something you really love to do, you'll figure out how to do it better.
Well said, man.
That's dope,
well
man.
Said.
That's dope.
Thank you.
So you're here now at the farmhouse, man. So what year did you talk about that story, that journey a little bit, that transition from, the
Spano,
hotel to farmhouse, how'd that come about?
So at the Marriott, man, I had such a good experience. Really, I worked for great people. I worked for Italians, right?
Yeah.
Not only was Chef Spano Italian from New York, yeah, that's right, man. You better know how to get some stuff right. And tomato sauce is called gravy. All right, okay. That's their gravy. But working a lot of Italian food, doing a lot of stuff. So I worked for some great people, and so what I was doing, I had a 3-meal-a-day restaurant, right? That I was over. I had a in-room dining program, which they actually flew me out to Nashville to learn and come back and implement it at the hotel. I had a VIP lounge. I had a lobby bar restaurant as well. Wow. So you have 29 cooks roughly, right? 29 people that you're above, and you're spread out. You put the right people in place. You put your right managers in place. You talk to them constantly. Yeah. You keep communication open. It ran really well. Yeah. Had a really good team. But when I got an opportunity to go do my own thing, and being local, doing local things was already big to me there. Right. We were working with Campolindo Farms. We were working with Cupini's down in Westport.
Yeah, shout out Cupini's.
We were working with Bloom Bakery. I was trying to do as much local as I could there. Right. Within their parameters that they let you do. Now, we were a franchise hotel, which meant that we still got to do our own thing. We didn't have to do completely corporate stuff. So nice. I got a lot of freedom there, too.
Yeah.
I have a friend that his name's Michael Faust. He started the Farmhouse.
Okay.
And it was running before we got here. I want to say it was open for 8 years before we got here. Yeah. If you guys remember River Market, that long ago, it was dead. I mean, there wasn't a lot going on.
I literally on the way here, I was telling Nick, I said, man, 15, 20 years ago, this place was dead. In fact, D-Rod didn't live that far from where we're standing right now.
Yeah, right across the street, man. Okay. Yeah, I lived right across the street.
Okay.
Yeah, nice, man.
So we know it pretty well.
Yeah, it was good.
So Michael, he had this place going, and listening to stories even from him to where he was when we got here is pretty cool, just because he was just trying to make it work. I mean, it wasn't busy. They didn't have the traffic. Right. It was the streetcar. Shout out to the streetcar, man. Really helped bring people here. Yeah, drop them off here, pick them back up, take them wherever they were going. Right. The streetcar really helped, and he had said that. And so when that was coming around, he saw an opportunity. He had other irons in the fire, and he wanted to do some other stuff within the industry, still without of the industry. And him and I had met doing different charity events and competitions and stuff, and we'd always get together and talk. And I even came down here one time, and I was like, man, I want to open up a place in the River Market, and do you have any advice? And he was like, hey, if you have any questions, come holler at me. He's like, if I can answer for you, I'll answer it. So a little time goes by, and my brother-in-law, Marty Ginsline, he's my business partner now. Yeah. We wanted to do that. We wanted to do that together. So we were coming up with a business plan. We were looking at different places, seeing if it was even realistic. Yeah. Kind of got to the point where we were like, we'll just pump our brakes and I'm going to keep focusing on what I'm already doing, right, et cetera. And then one day talking to Michael, he had this place up for sale, and we kind of talked about that a little bit. And he's like, well, why don't you buy it? I was like, man, I don't have that kind of money. I saw what you had it up for sale for, and we kind of had a laugh about it. And he's like, no, let's work something out. And so I, gave my brother-in-law a call, and I said, hey, there's an opportunity. You still interested? And so he said he was. And so with my brother-in-law, man, he had never been in this industry. And if you've never been in this industry and you just try to jump in, it's a culture shock. Yeah, and it's a lot of hard work. There's a lot to it. There's so much that goes into it. Yeah. So my condition was, I said, all right, if you want to do this, you have to go work in a restaurant first. And so we did. I mean, hats off to him. He went. He has a good friend, Matt Moore, that owns Martin City Brewing Company. Okay. Yeah. And so he said, hey, Matt, can I come out there and get some experience and stuff? And Matt let him do that. And next thing you know, man, we're buying the farmhouse.
He's like, I love it. Let's do it.
Yeah. He was. I mean, a little bit. He was kind of the person at first that probably was looked at services like, okay, I'm talking to this person, kind of leave me alone type. He was kind of like that. And I don't mean that in a bad way, because the person he became from working in the industry, he told me his first day, he spilled a tray of some drinks on some businessmen. They weren't happy, and he understood right then and there what cards you can get dealt on any day.
Yes. How long ago was that happened?
We bought the farmhouse in 2018, but back when we were talking about doing this was probably 2017, 2016 that he went and worked over in Martin City for a little while. Yeah.
So it was a couple of years almost.
Yeah. Wow. He went and got some experience, man. I mean, we were talking about this for a while. Yeah. And then, like I said, it just kind of seemed like we weren't going to do it anymore. And opportunity knocked.
Just came back around, right?
Here we are. But I loved everything that Michael had already started doing here. I mean, working with farmers. I love the location. I loved everything that they stood for. Sustainability,
right?
You know, no waste or minimal. Trying to stay away from single-use items, even if it's biodegradable or disposable or whatever it is. I mean, biodegradable is the way to go, because even disposable means that it's not always going to get itself into the recycling bin. But biodegradable will at least break down where it's at.
Was that was already here before you got here? Because I know you're about that too.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I can say that I really liked everything he stood for. Mm-hmm. I really was a fan of the farmhouse anyway, and everything they did.
Yeah.
So the menu, man, I mean, you come in, I'm imagine since 2018, the menu is probably, I mean, I've been coming here probably since 2020. It seems like 2019. I'm guessing though the menu, and I've seen it change, evolve really over time, Vince. But I will tell you, man, and this is why I knew, like, man, somebody Hispanic D-Rod owns this place, because I was like, tamales with eggs, like. I mean,
that's how I eat them at home.
That's unique, you know. The barbacoa, you know, the patties, you know, like. I mean, somebody, and finally it's like. So talk about that, man. Like,
how do you conceptualize that whole menu process, man?
Well, at first it was more about not rocking the boat. You know what I mean? Like I said, I was already a fan of the place. I wasn't coming in trying to change a whole bunch of things. I just wanted to be up to speed. And again, I've never owned a restaurant.
Yeah, you don't want to scare everybody away.
There's a whole bunch you don't know. I mean, I'm more focused about learning all the ins and outs of the restaurant than I was changing food right away. Unless there's something I really just didn't agree with, which that ended up happening a few times towards like, hold on, we're changing this up a little bit. You know what I mean? Or, hey, we're going to do this a little bit different. But then I would start doing specials, and then my kitchen starts seeing the specials, and they get behind all the, you know, some Mexican food or
some type of twist to it. Or
some type of barbecue or Midwest. I mean, when you look back at it, so from Kansas City, Mexican American.
Yep.
Learned from a Italian chef that's from New York. Now, Italian New York is different than Italy. Okay, the way they do some things, man. I mean, their pizza's great. I mean, I love the Italian food that I learned from my chef, but he was also trained under Germans when he was at CIA, the Culinary Institute of America in New York. So Noble Massey was his mentor. And it's funny because it's important for me to know who his mentor was, because he's my mentor, and you want to know, you know, how far your family tree goes, right? So Noble Massey in New York. So I mean, then again, I started getting into barbecue and got into barbecue competitions. And it's just, there's so much food. It can make you nuts how much you don't know when it comes to this industry.
Man.
So I guess to get back to the original question, I just wanted to cook anything and everything. And at that time, the farmhouse was only open for lunch and dinner.
Oh, okay.
And what I wanted to bring to this place was, hey, can we get a few more hours? Can we open up for breakfast? So I started a breakfast program here that opened up at 8 o'clock in the morning. We'd get a nice little crowd. By 10 o'clock, 10:30, we were breaking down, setting up for lunch. Lunch would go through, break down, set up for dinner. And so you were talking about the hours, right? And the hours that go into it. I mean, that was probably getting in around 5:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, and being here till 9:30 at night. And again, you just bought this place. It's going through my mind. You just bought this place. You need to be here. You need to figure out, you need to know the place. You need to start
know the customers,
exactly,
know
everything. I mean, again, there's just so much you don't know.
What works and what doesn't, what people want, what they don't want.
Exactly. How your staff is performing.
Exactly.
I mean, all that.
You don't want to be somebody that just works one shift and they only see the chef during the daytime. You know what I mean? That's not what I wanted. And you've come across that in your industry every once in a while.
Yeah.
Sure.
Where you're like, man, I don't want to be like that. I want to be like that.
Right.
And that's how it was. And I just wanted it, and I wanted it all the time. And like I said, I can go home, but I'm just going to be thinking about being here.
Right.
So you also have to kind of control that, right?
Yeah.
You can't burn yourself out.
So with that, what's your hours of operation now then?
Hours of operation now are 9 to 2, Wednesday through Sunday.
Okay.
So you talk about going from what I was doing to COVID happens all of a sudden. It gives us a reset. We all went through COVID together. All of us.
Oh, yeah.
We went through COVID together, right? Everybody had to deal with the same things. We did it in our way, right? Everybody had to do it in their way, okay? There was no right or wrong. The hard part about our industry at that time was we found out at the same time the public found out, what our guidelines were, and people were ready to get out, and sometimes people weren't real happy about it. We knew that when they, I guess I'm going off on a COVID bid right now, but
that's all right, man. Hey, you survived it, bro.
We did.
Survived it.
And that's one of the biggest things, man. Is you get a place, and a year and a half later, you're being told that you had to shut down, whether or not you're essential. They came up with, you guys remember the 10-10-10 rule?
Oh yeah.
And nobody knew. Everybody was doing what they thought was best, right? So we knew that everything that they were making us do, whether it was 20% occupancy or 10-10-10 or whatever it was, we knew that it was best for us to just stop. To just stop. Talked to our staff. We said, guys, this is what our plan is. You might want to be looking at getting on either on another place or
unemployment,
right? We're going to wait and see what kind of plans come out. The PPP plan came out.
Right.
But we were waiting. We were just waiting, and we laid low, and we just held off. And we talked to our landlords, and they were gracious, and they let us go for a few months. And then the PPP plan came out, and we were able to start kind of bringing some people back. We took that time. We painted. We just reset. When we bought this place, it was running. Like I said, it was going. And we were just trying to catch up. So there's so many things that you can't do, and you can't stop and look at your place as a whole because it was open 7 days a week.
Right.
And it really did give us a chance to stop for once. And we kind of came back out of COVID. We knew we were going to have to come back stronger, right? That's kind of a given for everybody. But for us, it was, what are we going to do different?
Right.
How are we going to know our place better? How are we going to know our customer better? What is our customer going to look like?
Maybe there's different customers we're not getting.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. But it was a chance to start implementing food that I grew up with. It was time to start implementing different ideas. So we just got done saying Wednesday through Sunday from 9 to 2. That means that we're open 25 hours a week. That's it.
Yeah.
That's crazy in this industry.
Yeah.
That's crazy for one. Yeah. Now, it's not like I take that much time off because I'm able to come into my restaurant and do things.
Right. Probably have time to think a little too.
Yeah, and man, we had so much support from the community. We had such a draw for our brunch. It made sense. It was like, we're going to focus on brunch. This is what is our draw.
Right.
So we're able to make it work 5 days a week with one staff because you don't need any more shifts.
Right. You
have one staff, so we're tighter as a crew.
Yeah.
And we said, you know what? If we're going to be doing one service, we're going to do it better than everybody. You know what I mean? Go into it like that. Go into it with that mindset.
And do you know, D-Rod, with Vince saying that Farmhouse is a top 10 brunch space location in Kansas City.
Yeah.
It's actually top 5, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And this is according to Yelp, so everybody don't yell at me about Yelp. I'm just telling you. That's what Yelp says.
Yeah.
But no, bro, Vince, man, shout out to you because I'm thinking like, man, you just bought a restaurant and you said like a year and a half later, here comes COVID. Man, what a tough lesson.
That was
to
an
learn.
oh shit moment,
man.
Right?
I would have been freaking.
I mean, the conversation has to come up. What are we gonna do? You know, my business partner, my brother-in-law, and I are gonna come up with it. And man, we went into it as brother-in-laws, right? We went into it as brother-in-laws that liked hanging out every once in a while, get a drink, you know, whatever it is, see each other at family gatherings and stuff. To man, that's my brother. I mean, we went through such hard times together. We argued, we fought, we got through it. It's cool, man. It's really cool when you sit back and you look at it and you're like, man, you and I did it. You know, people would tell us, hey, did you see what so-and-so's doing? And everybody had an opinion, you know what I mean? Which, in that, I don't mean that in a bad way. Everybody wanted to try to help. Right. You know what I mean? But when you're in that situation, man, you're not sitting there looking for advice. You don't want people to know how bad you got it right now. Man. You know what I mean? You don't having a personal life, dude. You didn't want to go out, you and do nothing. It was depressing.
Well, because I imagine that everybody's coming to you with that. Yeah. You know, and they're asking you like, man, how you doing? How you doing? And I mean, pride, bro, right? Man. It's always that pride thing, being a man, being a Hispanic man, being a business owner. I mean, it's rough to say that and do that and let people know what's really going on, bro. But
man, one of my closest boys had asked me, you know, basically how you doing? And I was talking to him, and he just goes, all right, well, now that you gave me the automated answer, what's you really going on? And that's really how it was, man. I mean, you just turned into a robot, and you just gave out that same answer because everybody's asking the same question, and it's something you don't want to fucking talk about, you know?
Yeah, man. Yeah. Hey, emotions is there, man, for sure. So
I'll tell you this, man, on behalf of Enterrupt KC, brother, we are proud of you, man, for working through COVID.
Man, appreciate it, guys.
But also, man, like, you know, man, you just said, like, man, I came in, we restructured ourselves, we rethought how are we going to do this, who's our new customers. You regrouped, and, man, you created a top brunch location in Kansas City, brother.
Hey, voted best.
I wasn't going to say it on air, man, but yeah, we've won best brunch in Kansas City, whether it be Pitch, whether it be KC Magazine, whether it be Kansas City Star, whether it be Visit KC. Every year since we have taken this over, we've won best brunch in something.
What we were talking about now, that's one of the things I read also about you. So we'll just say that again. I got all the names of them. Pitch Magazine, KC Magazine, Feast Magazine. Her Life magazine, right? In Kansas City, right? A magazine, and you were voted best brunch in KC, bro. Man, best brunch. And then just this past I read in May this year, 2024. You were voted best place to visit in 2024.
Man, that's
right here in the farmhouse. Right, so
I don't even think I knew that one. So
you did.
Salute.
Well, here we go, bro.
Man.
Thank you. Here we go, man.
Thank you, salute to you and the staff at Farmhouse, man.
You and your staff, brother.
Man, that's cool to hear.
I gotta say, man, and D-Rod and I. How many times we gone and eat brunch together, man? I mean, how many times we call each other on a Saturday, Sunday morning, you want to go eat some brunch?
Let's go eat some brunch and get some coffee, and then turn out to
man. And then it turns into
man.
We might take a couple shots.
But man, let me tell you, and you know, with what we're talking about, voting best and all that, brother. Man, you know, I told you when I first came in here, I tried to come in here one time. Crazy madhouse. So everybody who comes in, hey, listen,
make reservations.
Wait, make reservations, and if you don't, wait, man. With that being said, I'm definitely gonna be here. I'm gonna be a regular, man. You're gonna be seeing me, bro.
I appreciate that. I love to hear that.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, when JL was telling me that, and he said, "Man, I knew that it was somebody Mexican." I was like, "Man, I can't tell you how happy that makes me."
Yeah,
but tell him what I told you, though. Tell him what I told you. What did I say? What did I point out that I was like somebody Mexican?
The gallo.
The gallo.
Yeah. The gallero. Even I guess the
he's like
the
a Dia de los Muertos holding a rooster.
Yeah, man. That, and then you had seen one of my employees for Christmas made me this sign that says the Fog House, and it has a rooster with all the KU colors and everything, and that was something else that JL said that he'd seen. I was like, dude, you're rocking KU. That was right before we lost. We lost in the tournament later on that day.
Until you said that.
The story's still going good, man, because we have a great class coming in. Nobody wants to listen to us talking about KU except for you and I. But I was just like, man, that's cool. I was like, somebody got that. man, and I've been waiting. I really have. I've kind of waited for somebody to be like, who's back there? You know what I mean? And to tell you the truth, it's me and a bunch of widows, a bunch of white guys, man. And they can cook their ass off, man.
Give them a shout, man. What's their names, bro?
Jackson, Corbin, Drew, Luke is the chef de cuisine.
Okay.
Newly coming in from our dish squad. She's getting ready to graduate high school is Annette. Then I got two really strong girls holding dish down while going through school.
Wow.
The girls are the backbone of our kitchen right now, man. I'm telling you, they keep the whole place going.
Yeah, you know, another thing I've seen too, man, which I never seen no place else, Shale.
Yeah.
That what Vince has here is a mimosa tower.
Yeah.
You know, like when you go to places and they have beer towers, right? When you got the big old tall thing like that.
We've seen a
right?
couple
I mean,
we
knocked them towers down, bro. But you got a mimosa tower, man, for whoever wants mimosas. It's the same concept, man.
There's people watching this right now, and they're like, mimosa?
Hey, brunch.
I'm in.
The farmhouse right here, City Market, man. You want to tackle that mimosa tower? Come down here and check it out.
Top brunch place in Kansas City.
Yeah, man.
I gotta. Before we get to the menu, man, we know we kind of hit on this a little bit though, Vince.
Yeah.
The ingredients, man. You guys do. You brag about this on your menu, and on your website, farm to table, man. Talk about that, man. Why is it important for you, as a chef, to have that as part of your restaurant?
Yeah.
Responsible growing, responsible cooking, sustainability.
Yeah.
Just community support. So we're talking about great ingredients. Strawberries that are red all the way through them, not white. Right. You know what I mean? Right.
That's
in the
how
center.
It should be.
Man.
Yeah.
That's how it should
tomato
be.
That is red all the way through it. Yeah. That is juicy.
My tomatoes are supposed to be red all the way through.
If it's supposed to be a red tomato.
A lot of people don't know strawberries are supposed to be red.
Right.
A lot of people don't, man.
Right.
Yeah.
And the flavor is just unmatchable. I mean, you really can't match it unless you start trying to manipulate the strawberry, which is just what happens in this industry, right?
Yeah.
You start manipulating different ingredients and different flavors because you're trying to get it to mock something that is perfect, in its own season. Tomatoes, we don't mess with them outside of season. Now we do get San Marzano canned tomatoes, which is just the best sauce type of tomato. You ask any Italian, they're going to tell you that. They're going to tell you that. And we will take fresh tomatoes and we'll turn them into jams to have them through the season. We might put that on our burger, so we'll still have some of it, but it's not going to be
heirloom
that.
tomatoes.
Heirloom tomatoes, man, they're so good.
Those are the best. You've had an heirloom tomato?
I've had heirloom tomatoes.
Oh my God, man.
Different. Everyone's going to be a different color, shape,
bro.
size, and flavor, which is just so cool about it. I mean, you might have a green one that has zebra stripes in it, and then you have a yellow one that's starting to red from the top of it down, and it looks like it's a Chief's tomato or something like that. The colors are so vibrant.
I do gotta say, man, and this is kind of a little off subject, but there is one thing that freaked me the hell out.
Okay.
You ever heard of like a bloody orange?
Blood orange?
Blood orange?
Yeah, man.
Oh yeah,
man.
Yeah.
Freak you out?
It freaked me. Bro, I was freaking out, man. My wife is like, "Here, take this orange," and I'm like, "All right." I start peeling it. Like, this looks a little different.
What happened to this orange?
I split it in half, and I'm like,
this one's bad.
this is a grapefruit or something. I don't know what this is.
Yeah.
She's like, no, it's a blood orange. I'm like, I don't want this.
Yeah, it doesn't sound good. Yeah.
Anyway, bro.
No, blood oranges are cool because they're only available in the wintertime. That's when they're in season. That's when they're going to taste the best, and you can get some good presentations out of them. Sharp taste to those.
Yeah.
But.
What I was just going to ask you, man, like the farms, man, can you tell us some of the farms? They're local, clearly, right?
For sure.
Shout them out, man.
Man, so our farmers, our ranchers, distillers, everybody, we just try to go local. You look at the walls, and it's all local artists decorating our walls. We just try to go as local as possible. I'm going to go ahead and say Barham Farm. He's one of our ranchers. You name it, he's got it. From chicken to ducks to quail to rabbits, our beef, our pork, our lamb.
Yeah.
I mean, he's really got it going on. He's over in Kearney, Missouri. Yeah. We do some pretty cool dinners out at his property.
Yeah.
We'll sell tickets to it. We set up. I mean, he has it now set up. He wants to get more restaurants doing this. He wants to get more chefs doing this with him.
How much is a ticket, bro? Because we might need to grab some tickets. I mean, if you cooking, man.
Yeah, bro. I'm down.
Absolutely.
Let us know when the next one is, man.
We're usually going to rock out around 4 to 5 courses, and it'll be anywhere from $100 to $125. Man.
That's good, man.
But I'm telling you,
I do that.
On his property, you're overlooking a pasture. The sun's going down. He has lights strung up. And then we just hit you with course after course, and we come out and we'll talk about the course. And
Vince,
we have
bro,
wine.
You got it. Hey, yo, D-Rod J. Come holla at
For sure. We're I'm gonna want to plug. How about that?
Yeah.
So Barham Farms with a lot of our meats. I'm gonna say Hemi Brothers Creamery. They're in Sweet Springs, Missouri. In between here and Columbia. Okay. We get our fresh mozzarella. We get cheese curds. We get queso fresco. He's making.
Oh, for real?
Or not queso fresco. Sorry, queso chihuahua.
Yeah.
And
all the dairy.
His white cheddar has these like little crystals in it. When you bite into it, it's like aged and the crystals have formed. And man, you bite into this cheese and it's just unreal.
Man, I'm gonna have to get a slice of that before we leave.
You need to try the cheese. I'll send you some. That and the tamales, right?
Yeah, for sure, man.
Crumb's Heirlooms. Okay. So Crumb's Heirlooms Farm. He's in Bonner Springs.
Okay.
He does everything he has is heirloom. So heirloom, the seed being passed down and reproduced. And that's when it starts giving them their unique colors and textures and flavors, that same seed being passed down.
Yeah.
So his products are great. His tomatoes are outstanding.
Yeah.
When we talk about heirloom tomatoes and we talk about tomatoes, he's where to go, man. But if you didn't want an heirloom tomato, all right, we have different farmers, and we have people that are working with the Amish community up in Trenton and Jamesport, and they're going up there and they're working with the Amish, and they're buying the products from them. They're coming here and they're selling it right out back through their farm, or through their out of their van through all the farmers there, and up north a little bit in the Amish communities.
Man, you know what I think is beautiful, D-Rod?
What's that?
The fact that we're sitting here talking to Chef Vince Paredes about farm to table, and growing up, man, city market.
Yeah.
I mean, if you wanted farm to table, you went to the city market, which is like a half a block away, right? Yeah. I mean, bro, like that to me, I remember coming here as a kid, man.
I still do, man.
Like, I still do too, but like, you had to get past the smell, man. You know, like people don't know what this was down here. You know what I'm saying? You had to get past the smell, the rotten vegetables and everything, right? Yeah. And go in there and get what you needed. But man, I just think that's beautiful, man.
I think it is too, man. I mean, and that all goes to what you're creating here, man, with your food and what the people, obviously your clientele, your customers that keep on coming back for is for that. And they know the difference from what you're feeding them, what they're getting compared to other places.
Man.
Yeah, it's and I also say, you know, when you come here and you support the farmhouse, you are supporting your community. I mean, you are supporting those farmers.
Right.
We're buying it, we're turning it into something else. And Jim Crum, he had told me, he's like, man, the best asparagus is just raw and just snap it just like that. And we sat there and we just had a couple spears of asparagus, man, and it really was just so fresh and without heat touching it, without salt touching it, without any herb touching it. I mean, this asparagus was so good.
That's like me and broccoli, man. I love raw broccoli.
Yeah.
I just cook broccoli, I'll eat it. But the raw broccoli, I'm like, I just
something
love
different.
I love it, man. I don't know why, man.
It's your palate, man. Your palate, it works with your palate,
and it also changes too, right?
Yeah,
it also
it definitely
changes,
does,
man. You know, is there something that you never liked that you like now?
Not that I like now. I still don't like some stuff.
Like some things, some certain foods.
What's one thing you never liked and you?
Oh, I'm ready. I don't really like baby corn. I don't really like truffle oil. It's just too perfumey, man. And it's overused. And I don't like Miracle Whip.
Yeah,
really?
I don't like Miracle Whip.
I don't like the sweet tang.
Well, Miracle Whip ain't even mayonnaise.
I'm trying to think, what do you eat Miracle Whip with? Is that
Miracle
pumpkin
Whip,
pie? Is that what they put on pumpkin pie?
No, Miracle Whip is like a fake mayonnaise. Yeah,
it's like a sweet mayonnaise.
Okay, I'm tripping.
And my mom loves Miracle Whip, man, so I'm not going to talk too bad about it, but I don't like it.
I don't either.
I'm going to make sure my wife watches this because she's a Miracle Whip queen. And I'm like, no, you got to give me some mayonnaise.
Real mayonnaise.
You got to give me the mayonnaise.
Real mayonnaise. And mayonnaise is what has the real ingredients in it, and it's not manipulated.
You make your real mayonnaise yourself?
Oh, yeah. Man, we make our... Egg. Start off with a little bit of Dijon. Mustard. It helps. It helps the oil emulsify with the egg and become a nice creamy consistency. We throw a little bit of garlic and vinegar and some salt and keeping it pretty simple. Like I said, you don't have to add sugars. You don't have to change the flavor of what that actually is. You can just let it speak for itself.
Yeah.
What about wild game, man? You cook up you eat some wild game?
I like wild game if it comes around.
What's the craziest one you've eaten?
Craziest?
Well, different. Okay, the reason I'm asking is because
no.
what I would like to eat, and I might, people might hate this, whatever, but is black bear, man. I want to try some bear meat, man.
I have never had bear. One of my good buddies from high school, his parents, one of my food memories is not even tasting it. It's just listening to her talk about living in Colorado with her husband, my buddy's parents. And she said that, she was making food for her soon-to-be husband, my buddy Darby's parents. Yeah. And she's like, I got bear meat and I cooked it for the guys and they all loved it. And
I heard it's
like,
incredible, man.
She said it was good. Yeah. She said it was also cheap there in Colorado.
I know some people, they go down to Arkansas and hunt black bear.
Black bear? Well, they say because the black bear they eat a lot of berries, right? Mm-hmm. So it's all that. So their meat consumes that sweetness of that, and that's what it is. And even like the tallow, if you make the tallow, I make my own tallow.
Listen to you, all right,
tallow, bro. Well,
tallow's not a word a lot of people even know.
Yeah.
What is tallow, D-Rod? Tell us.
Tallow is an oil, man, and what I do is I go to the butchers and I get all the fat.
Render it.
And I render it down. I strain it through the screen, and then I strain it through the fine material into the jars, man. I make my own shit, man.
You got it together then. Yeah, I saw this thing, just kind of change the subject real quick. It was on Instagram, and man, one of my guys in the back had said it. He's like, our brains aren't built to take this much information in on a regular basis, and he's so true.
For sure,
because I even remember something that I was looking at on Instagram, and somebody had built a candle out of tallow, right? And they were using it at the dinner table for their bread and shit. And I didn't have an opinion one way or the other. I was just laughing at it.
Out of the candle? Out of the candle?
Yeah, out of the candle. The candle's sitting there melting the tallow slowly, and they're hitting it with the bread and whatever else they were doing at their dinner table.
I'll tell you what, man. My steaks I make, man. I make my steaks in the cast iron. Yeah. And I do it with the tallow, man. Nice. Have you ever had that?
Yeah.
That's what I do it.
I wanted to tell you or ask you, Vince. So the menu, man, because what I don't want people to leave, watching this and be like, oh, this is just a brunch spot, like, bro, there's so much more food here, man. So can you highlight a couple items for people watching this?
Sure.
Like what can they expect when they come here, man? What's that experience look like?
So Wednesday through Friday, our menu's slightly different than it is on the weekends. The weekends we kind of go big and beyond. I mean, we're trying to come up with more specials. We're trying to give you a little bit more of that letting loose for the weekend feel. You know what I mean? You might not be calorie counting. But Wednesday through Friday, you can get more sandwiches. You can get some more entree style things. We do that for the business traveler. We do that for somebody that's coming here for a meeting or just a little get together. So the crowd's slightly different. Yeah. And again, somebody might be looking for a burger. On our new menu, we're going to be doing a smoked chicken salad sandwich, which people like chicken salad, but us wanting to use the smoker, the dressing we use is right for this salad as well, on the right type of bread and everything else. But I would say the meatball sub or the meatball sandwich, not a sub, but the meatball sandwich that you got to try. We have chilaquiles. We have on the weekends we have a 10-ounce certified Angus ribeye. Comes with eggs, and then we do these boiled potatoes where we boil them in a little bit of a salted vinegar water, so they kind of have that vinegar and sea salt chip flavor, but just a tiny bit. Yeah. We take these potatoes, we boil them, they're tender, then we fry them, smash them, and then they come with a horseradish aioli.
Oh, man.
We and you've seen the tamales, and you've seen you talked about the barbacoa that had the pupusas and everything else with it. We don't pigeonhole ourselves, man. Whatever comes in inspires us. We don't know what's going to come in sometimes, depending on who the farmer is, and sometimes we have a heads up when we pre-order it.
What's up. Right.
But that helps get us going sometimes. We also do private dinners.
Okay.
We do a lot of private dinners. So since we don't do dinners anymore, and we want to feel that same I want to say cooking experience in the kitchen. That's just a step up, and everything takes a little bit longer. It's not brunch. You're not trying to turn things over. So when we're talking about brunch, we have to think of practicality on the menu. How long is it going to take? How many touches is it going to take? Is it coming off of 1 station, 2 stations, 3 stations? How hard is it to pull this dish off? And when we're talking about doing a private dinner, we get to think about it for a period of time. We get to take our time with it and develop certain things. We might confit something, which is cooking something under fat and preserving it, and it pulls up more flavor. We can do that a week out. We just do things a little bit different for those private events that we don't normally do for brunch. And so that's a really cool a difference there. I was talking about going out to Barham Farms and cooking out there. It's the same type of thing, but sometimes we just do it here.
Do it here in-house. Yeah. So if somebody wanted to do that, man, how do they get a hold of you to do that? Is there a website, phone number, anything you want to drop?
You can always call us, but on the website is probably the best way because it shoots us, it shoots the right person the email that's going to be responding to you, getting back and talk to you through your meal. Do you want it?
What's that website?
It's eatatthefarmhousekc.com.
Eatatthefarmhousekc.com.
Eat at the farmhouse. Okay, nice, man. Yeah, is anybody interested in that, man? Hit them up on that email address, and that's for like private dinners, right? Is what you said. Is there a certain amount of capacity of people that you? I mean, you got a big place here. But is there like a minimum?
So we typically do a minimum. It is $2,000 up front, but you can get there through food and beverage. Right. So whatever you're paying for all adds up to that.
I mean, like as far as people, like 10 people, or it don't matter.
No, it's basically what it's going to cost us to pay the staff to come in here, to turn on all the lights, to turn on all the equipment, to order the stuff in, and just spend our time on it. So, that's always kind of evolving too. What worked for us a year ago when we were just trying to develop that part of our business might change here in the future. But what I can say is that when people come in here, they get the whole place to themselves. They get the whole restaurant. They get the patio. They get their own servers. They get their own cooks cooking for them.
I've seen that before. Driving through here where it would say private party. On the board.
I also get to hang out with you probably a little bit.
A little bit if they want to.
Take a little shot.
There you go.
We talked a little bit about menu, right? And you broke down a little bit of what you have and all that. Do you also offer? I'm sure you do seasonal items, become like fall, winter time, and all that.
Yeah, that's 100%.
What's popular on those ones, man?
So it's just, again, it kind of depends. So what comes through? So let me give you an example real quick. So we had a asparagus. It was the first of the year to come in. We featured that. It was coming from Crumb's Heirlooms. Now, asparagus isn't just as easy as going and planting a seed and you get it that same year. It's a 3-year, at minimum, growth process to actually get a good patch of asparagus. So these farmers have been putting in the work way before you're ever getting it. And so that came in. We featured it with that farmer, his own polenta creamy polenta, shaved some local cheese over it, gave it a perfectly poached egg, and we just wanted to highlight the asparagus.
Nice.
Now, the next week, we got a few more things in. We had leeks, we had green onions, we had the asparagus, we had spinach, and some English peas, and ended up making this soup out of it. We called it a puree of spring green and pancetta soup. Nice. And the pancetta, we even sourced that as local as we could. Volpe, they're in St. Louis, but they're making pancetta, so we can keep our soup as local as possible.
So you basically, whatever comes in at that time, being the great chef that you are, you put it together, bro, and you just you create these dishes.
One of the coolest things is when you have a staff and your staff's bought in and they love everything you're doing, they're waiting for the same stuff. You know what I mean? They're waiting to create a dish too. They're waiting to run a special off their own station. Like I said, these guys are bought in, so it influences everybody in different ways. It influences our bar, what our drink menu is,
the wine or whatever it may be, right?
Our bartenders are like, you call them a mixologist if you want.
Yes, sir.
They are like cooks. They are like cooks at the bar. They have to think about every ingredient going into a drink. That way, it doesn't come out blowing somebody's palate out one way or the other, sweet, sour, spicy, or just way too much liquor, or so.
Hey man, your boy used to be a mixologist.
I know. I was actually going to say that earlier. I was like, D-Rod's worked at a restaurant, but he was in the bar.
I was a mixologist.
All right, where at?
Oh shit, man, I worked everywhere.
Savoy Grill.
But the last place was Savoy Grill.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Savoy's great.
Yeah. They're still open now though too, right?
Yeah.
I think they redid it all completely. Yeah, Savoy Grill. And then just
that's a pretty great.
I didn't make it that high. I was a bar back at Golden Ox. I didn't make it to the mixology.
Hey, another landmark though, man. Still another landmark. On. Yeah.
You talked about kind of moving forward, Vince, and what kind of thinking about next things, obviously for the farmhouse, right? Mm-hmm. So I gotta ask, man, are you thinking about like Farmhouse 2 or anything like that, man? Or
it's a good question. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good.
We've been very fortunate that we have had quite a bit of people approach us about another farmhouse. Hey, get into my building first 2 years rent free. You know what I mean? And then maybe the building or the location wasn't quite for us, or maybe we just weren't ready to grow that fast yet.
Right.
We learned a lot in our first 2 years. And what we learned was don't try to do too much too fast. And then COVID hit, and like I said, man, we just had this ultimate reset.
Quick, man.
And it gave us the opportunity to do what we were saying. Don't
get good at what you can get good at.
Hone in on this, man. Let's do this better than anybody else does it, or let's do it as good as we know we can do it.
Well, I believe you're doing that, brother.
Thank you.
I believe 100%.
And the reason why I ask, man, is because being on the Kansas side, man, I'm finding brunch spots all over the place, and generally, like, one of the questions I ask when I see a new one is like, "Hey, is this local?" And honestly, that answer is like, no.
Almost all the time anymore.
Almost all the time, bro. Like, they're from out of state.
I mean, so much from Denver alone. I'm not trying to throw them, under the bus or anything, but there's a lot. I mean, Denver Biscuit Company, Snooze. I mean, these are all places that were concepts other places, and had the money to come in and just build this massive place, and all of a sudden start taking business from some local places, man. And look, there's still local people working in these chains, right? I mean, they're still our people. It's still our community. But at the same time, do you have to question yourself. I mean, do they have the same standards that we're holding ourselves to?
No.
Do they have the same beliefs that we're sitting here?
Listen. I'm saying, man, like, and I don't mean no disrespect. It's just, to me, eating at all these places, man, and you can see I eat, bro. I ain't ashamed. I eat.
Same.
To me, it's like I could tell automatically walking in, this is not a local place, because you just like, you know it, man. You like the way people, the people interact with you and everything. But then you walk in a place like this, and I knew immediately. I see the KU signs. I see things, and I'm like, oh, this is a local place. Yeah. This is a local
difference
spot.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Man, hopefully you can tell it in even just the servers alone, right?
Absolutely.
Yes, we want them to be knowledgeable about our restaurant. We want them to be able to talk about the farmhouse and be psyched up about it. But we don't want them to be robots. Right. You know what I mean? We don't want them to be the same person. It's just a speech every time you go to a table. We want it to be genuine. Our servers are genuine. You know what I mean? When you come, you're going to talk to somebody that maybe just got off their shift last night at another local place, and they came here because they just believe in everything that the local restaurants want to do.
100%.
For sure.
And what is cool is, you know what? A lot of restaurants are putting their toe, dipping their toe into the brunch game. A lot of restaurants don't want anything to do with it because brunch can just be a lot. Yeah. Right? It can be a lot. It's burn and turn. People are ready to just have a good time and stuff.
They're partying, man. They have their partying, man.
But these local restaurants, man, people are starting to fight back. You know what I mean? They're starting to come back and say, you know what? Don't go to these chains. Come try this. I don't care if we're a fine dining place. We're going to do some fine dining brunch. Or it might be another place that just says we're just going to open up earlier. You know what I mean?
Well, being voted that, I mean, I just got to say it again, bro. I just got to applaud you again on that, brother.
Absolutely.
Being voted the best, man, in KC for that. I mean, everybody should come out and check this place out,
come
man.
Support.
Support for sure. I wanted to ask you, dude, out of all these great meals and the ones that we even tried here, right? And is there a favorite dish that you make or a signature? Something that you make that's like your favorite that you're like, man.
Good question. Something that I would say signature wise for me personally. I mean, tamales have kind of fast started becoming that. Yeah. But before I really dipped back into my roots, and go through culinary school. You're classically trained in French, right? And then, like I said, depending on what chef you get under, you're going to get his influence too or her influence too. Right. And so for my signature dish, I would say it kind of started at the Marriott. I was cold smoking stuff. I was trying to infuse smoked flavor into ingredients or raw ingredients without cooking them.
Like a smoked salmon?
It was a smoked pork chop, to be specific. Did a 48-hour brine on a double cut pork chop.
Okay. Was that the Jackie? I saw something on your menu called like the Jackie or something like that.
So Jackie Jackson, him and I we did a version of this here. So I'm glad to hear you say that. We did a version of that here.
I just seen them light up, bro.
Dude, I'm so proud of my staff, man. I mean, one of my dish girls earlier today, right? Her name's Maria, and I'm sorry to get off subject.
No. Right.
But she wanted to know how to make caramel sauce because she wouldn't drink coffee before I started putting a little bit of caramel in her coffee. And we ran out of caramel, and she was like, can you show me how to make it? Now, I showed her how to make it today, right? And we're making it. Now, I'm not saying this because I'm boasting myself for knowing how to make caramel sauce. All right, I am gonna sit here and boast myself because she now knows how to make caramel sauce, and that's where that starts becoming cool.
Right.
Okay, that's where you start getting that different level. Jackie, he can make pozole better than most people you know. Yeah, that same dude.
Well, what's up? I'm a pozole guy.
Come on, pozole. Let's go.
Man. And you guys used to serve it here too, right?
Yeah. But to get back to that pork chop, man, we cold smoke it. So you run your smoker at a temperature with ice in it to where it's not getting hot enough to cook that pork chop because it's hitting the ice,
right?
But it's infusing that smoke flavor into it. So then when it comes time to cook it, you throw it on the grill and you pull it off.
Get that sear.
Man, it just has this like it came off a wood fire grill.
Wow.
So being able to infuse that flavor. So then we take this burnt apple glaze, is what we call it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we caramelize sugar. You melt sugar down just like you're doing flan. Have you guys ever made flan?
No, I've never made it, but
you know what I'm talking about? Where you start melting the sugar down, it starts becoming all that amber color, and you pour it at the bottom of the dish before you do your custard, and that's what you flip out, right? Yeah. So you take that same process and you take that same concept of browning these sugars before you burn it, and then take that and then you do an apple cider into that, and it just starts popping everywhere because the sugar is so hot and has no liquid in it. So as soon as it gets liquid, it just starts going crazy.
Wow.
Well, it'll end up cooling down, and then you just let that browned sugar, that caramelized sugar, dissolve into that apple cider, and it takes on this new flavor of this like kind of burnt apple.
Wow.
Like you would get like a candied apple or caramel apple, right?
And it goes right into that chop.
That glazes the pork chop. And the pork chop has a puree of sweet peas whipped into a mashed potato. And then you have some wilted greens.
So you make that now here? Is that
no?
It's something I can make. I was like, I'm making a reservation tonight.
I'm gonna get that special dinner, man.
Yeah. So the menu has to hold things that the majority of your customers are gonna like, right? The majority of them can look at the menu and say, I want to go there.
Right.
And then the specials are for us.
Yeah.
You know, the specials are for the cooks. They're for the kitchen. That's what we like to eat. That's what we want you to try. That's what we wanted to experiment or an idea in our head. Jayla and I were talking earlier, and we were talking about how we'll come up with a special. You'll come up with a dish, and then people come in and then can I sub this? Can I change that? Can I pull this off? And I'm not going to sit here and tell people how they need to eat.
Right.
What I'm going to say is once you start changing a chef's dish, you are changing the way he saw it.
Yeah.
And if you don't end up liking it, you might not like it because he would be like, you know what, I wouldn't like it like that either. You changed my dish.
I think you should say that one more time, man. Because there's people who
I hate that. Just don't order the dish. Order something different.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, man.
Order something different. I don't mean that in a shitty way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean that in a way of, hey, that's not the way it was intended to be. Right. And sometimes people do something, and I'm garnishing. You know what I mean? The cooks have already cooked it. They sent it to the window. And I'm sitting there looking at it. I'm like, it looks pretty good, man. I might have done that. I kind of like this. I kind of like what somebody did right here. It's just that when you start changing things and then you say you don't like it, I mean, you didn't have my dish. You had my dish with your changes.
Yeah.
And again, that's not to put an ego thing there. That's just when we conceptualize a dish. Mm-hmm. When we conceptualize a dish, it's there for a purpose.
Yeah, absolutely.
But again, man, I mean, you just got to take so much pride.
It's intended to be eaten the way it is created.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the simple way I see it.
Yeah. Man,
so
sure.
I got to ask a couple questions, man, before we wrap this up, Vince. So D-Rod and I, we're gonna hire you for if we're gonna hire you to cook your best meal for us to, and we can eat. Okay,
bro, and I eat whatever.
Like we will eat whatever. Okay, we want 4 courses, right? We want a dessert. You know what I mean? Yeah. What does that look like? We need you to show out, bro. What does that look like?
You already seen how I devoured what you brought out.
Yeah,
and it was all good. So, and I mean.
So I like the question. The question's a hard one, though.
Yeah,
right? I know.
It's a lot easier when someone says, "I like this" and I don't like this, but it's okay.
Let's do something simple. Let's do. He likes steak. You like steak, right?
I love steak.
I love seafood. So
I like seafood too.
Where does it go?
Where are we going?
Man, I'm probably going to go ahead and. I got to go back to my roots, man.
Yeah.
I got to go back to my roots. Whenever I think about it, and I was talking about this with my sous chef today, my sous chef and my chef de cuisine, and we were just talking about different ideas. We were talking about tamales, and we were talking about masa, and I said, you know what? I want to do a dinner, 4 courses of tamales.
Okay.
4 courses of masa.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about the appetizer. Do you guys know what corundas are? Corundas are
I haven't heard of that. Maybe I might know something else. Go ahead, sir.
Nah, it's an unstuffed tamale, right? Done typically with green corn leaves. All right. So the long ones.
Yeah.
And when you do it, you put a little bit of masa
Right.
And you can put some queso fresco, or you can put something in the masa, but it's typically on stuff with no meat.
Yeah.
In Mexican cultures, I mean, it's price conscious everything, right?
Yeah.
That's why everything that we grew up on was price conscious. I mean, something that can feed a family, that can feed, it's meant to fill you up.
Yeah.
So these corundas, they are specific to Michoacan. And they're a street style food. Mm-hmm. So you take your masa and you start with the thick end of this corn leaf. And again, green in season, which means that you don't get them like this all year. You get them this little short period. Yeah. And you start with a little ball and you start rolling them up like you would do a little paper football, right? And you guys played paper football, right? Yeah. So it ends up being a little perfect triangle, and you do a bunch of those. And you steam them all off, and it's about the masa. It's not about the meat. It's not about the sauce. It's not about... What do most times when you have a tamale, what do you not really like? It's bouncy, it's rubbery, it's dense, it's dry, there's no meat, all those things. This should be about the masa speaking for itself. Yeah. So you have these little corundas, right?
Yeah.
And then you take those and you have a series of salsas and cremas and different things that you eat this with. So I kind of took that idea. Now, when I was at the Marriott, I was hiring grandmothers, and I was hiring other people to come in and teach me different Mexican dishes that I didn't know how to cook. Corundas was one of them.
Okay.
Yeah. Frying salsas with a fat, and really incorporating fat into a salsa and watching it get bold rather than being so bright.
Right.
You know what I mean? And calm down.
Yeah.
So when I did that tamal this last weekend, or when I made one for you guys today, it was unstuffed and it had the meat next to it.
Yeah.
It had the queso fresco next to it and had the salsa underneath it.
Yeah.
It was about tasting everything individually rather than just in one tamal.
Yeah.
Man,
you know what I mean?
I feel that now,
and then being able to crack into it and eat it together.
Yeah.
As if it was a stuffed tamal.
Have you been to Michoacan?
No.
Okay, I've been down there.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you, bro. The tamales, like, they're big and fat, and the meat portion is like, because meat is it's
costly.
Man. It's cost down there, man. Mm-hmm. So the meat is high price. But yeah, man, I mean, that's why I just asked you that, man, just to see where you would go with it.
I would start with that. I mean, I didn't even give you a straight answer. That would be probably an appetizer course as an example.
I'm down.
And
then you'd have to get into each course doing something with a different tamal or a different masa. But the thing is, not all masas are the same. I mean, you can get blue corn, you can get red corn. I mean, you can get all these different, and they all have different flavors.
Yeah.
And there's this really cool concept. There's one place, I believe it's Jalisco, that they do this. And there's one lady that did it, and she did it for a bunch of chefs. And she had a tamale cart. And she did a sweet coffee tamal.
Okay.
And it had the coffee flavor of the tamal. And I've been obsessed with wanting to do this now. I was talking to my chef de cuisine. I mean, we talk food all the time, right? And you get together and you start talking about different ideas and kind of bounce things off each other and say, hey, this is what I want to do. This is what we're about to start messing with. So I wanted to take that concept and I want to do a dessert tamal that has more of a mocha-like. So it has the coffee and it has the chocolate. Oh, man. So I want to do a coffee tamal.
How soon are you going to do that?
I mean, if you ever need...
I'm going to let you guys know.
I was going to say, if you ever need any lab rats, to come in here and try the food and give you some honest opinion.
Dude, but think about, you guys know what a ganache is, like a chocolate sauce, right?
Yeah.
I want to do a Mexican ganache and then do a salted caramel, maybe a dulce de leche, cream on top, and fuck with tamales from start to finish. You know what I mean?
Let's go.
Look, I can cook whatever steaks, I can cook whatever seafood, and I love all those type of things.
But the creativity.
I love it though.
I'm taking something that we grew up with, right?
I love that.
And paying that kind of homage to it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And doing things like that and doing it our way and doing it my way.
Doing it
you know what I mean?
Create,
just say,
man, just
look, this is what I want you to try because I thought this sounded cool. Do you think it's cool too? That's basically what I'm saying to you from the kitchen with the menu. I want you to try this.
That's
try
dope,
this,
man.
That's all what you just said. Man. Sounds incredible.
And our guests, our customers, they come in, and this is a chef-driven restaurant, right? People come here to try the food first, right? They come back because the service was good.
Yeah.
But we get a lot of opportunity for people to try things that they might not normally have done, but they came here for an experience, and we want to give them that.
Right. Yeah. That's what's up, man. I love it, Vince, man. I love the fact that when I ask you that question, you go right to, you're like, man, I got to go to my roots, man.
You got to, man.
I mean, my roots.
I was having the conversation with my mom the other day, and she was talking about all the different foods.
She was like, Mijo, why don't you make no sopa?
And I no, my mom was like ultra supportive, right? I mean, anything I do or whatever, mom, she's behind it, right? Yes, you guys know. Yeah. And I told her, I said, Mom, in school, I was so fixated on French cooking and learning French. And that's what you're taught in culinary schools, French cooking. Right. Yeah. That's the building blocks. That's getting your mise en place, everything in its place together. And there's so many great principles. But I went from that into cooking some Italian food and then doing all these things. And I told her, I said, Mom, I came back and now all I want to cook is the food I grew up on. Yeah. And I want to maybe do it maybe a little bit different. Yeah.
A little extra twist on
exactly.
It.
So that's what's important to me.
Man, with all, bro. Come on, man. That's incredible, man. That's incredible, and I love that, man. Of course. Is it hard for you to go to places to go eat because of that, right? I mean, and if what places do you go to?
Dude, great question. And the best thing I can say is at some point you turn it off. I mean, what are you there for? Yeah. Right? Are you there to visit with your friends, your family? Are you on a date, or are you there because you wanted to try this restaurant? Now, that's what I mean when I say chef driven. Right. You go there for an experience. So yes, if I go to your place because I've been waiting to try it, I'm going to judge it. Yeah. But if I went out to eat just because I'm hanging out with my friends or whatever family it's going to be.
You ain't judging
just for the
date, whatever.
Just for the hang.
Yeah, you're going there to hang, and you hope the food is good enough and not turning you off of something.
Right.
So they didn't put enough salt in this.
Yeah, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. It's funny because most people, when you go over to their house or you go to a family event, that's when they're typically going to give you these little. I have a chef trying it for me. This probably isn't as good as what you normally have. I'm like, man, you know how much we love it when somebody cooks for us?
Yeah.
That's how we show that we care. You know what I mean? Yeah. Making something for somebody. I wanted to show you guys appreciation for coming here. I wanted to make you a series of different things. I've got tamales for you guys all just to walk away with, to go share with your wives. Right?
Yeah.
And those have burn ends. Just to let you know, those have burn ends. Jalapeno toreados, right? So a little bit of blistered jalapenos in there, some local green onions that have been charred, and that local queso chihuahua that I was telling you about before.
I'm gonna fuck those up.
Man, I
hope you do.
Now
I'm mad. She ain't gonna eat nothing. I'm
don't put that on record. We're gonna edit that out, man.
You got hungry again is what happened. Before you had you weren't quite so hungry.
Yeah, man. Yeah, no, man.
Vince, man, I gotta ask you this question, man, because I think nowadays, the Gordon Ramsay of the world made this popular, right? TV shows and there's movies now, man. Like the Bear series. There's series, right?
Good show, yeah.
Is there a movie or a series?
The Chef.
The Chef?
Jon Favreau.
Okay.
Yeah.
So talk about that because I love that movie, man. Why do you love that movie?
Man, that shows the ups and downs. It shows the peaks, the valleys. It shows the reality about it. Even when John Leguizamo in the beginning was pulling out bacon and it was burnt, and he's telling everybody where he's gonna put it. That's just so real. You know what I mean? But it's lighthearted, and it's kind of it's holding your crew accountable without being a dick about it. You know what I mean? Or without being such a hard ass about it.
And Jon Favreau went off to make several chef series episodes about
with
things.
Roy Choi, man.
Yeah.
And Jon Favreau, it was so important to him to get that right, and that's the artist that Jon Favreau is.
Yeah.
But it was so important to him that he just completely engulfed himself in cooking. And then when it was done and they came out with the chef show, he had said it. He's like, man, I was tired. I missed cooking. I missed doing this. I missed learning things. And if you watch that show, he remembers things that Roy Choi was telling him, and Roy Choi was like, I told you that? And he was like, yeah. And then Roy Choi was trying some of Favreau's stuff. He's like, man, that was better than mine. He's like, well, you showed me how to do it. And it's because as a chef, I mean, it all makes sense to you, right? It all makes sense when you're putting things together. And we're just going to go off of tasting something and moving it around and getting it to the point where we want it. But when somebody else doesn't know what you know and they're relying on that recipe, they learn it really well. And if you nailed that recipe, then they should be able to excel too. Right. And I'm going to give you a real quick example. The pancake recipe that we had here is a pancake recipe I developed. Now, one of my cooks, Drew, he ended up making a Johnny cake recipe that you guys got to try off of that with the cornmeal. Yeah. Now, we only told him what the concept of it was. Yeah. And he made it until it was right. And he wrote it down. And it is now his recipe that is in our book. Wow. Because he understood the principles behind it. And that's all you need. Yeah. You just need the principles. And then the rest of it, man, is just how creative you want to be.
Man, that's badass, man. Yeah, thank you. Good ass pancakes.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was real good.
You know how I know they're good? Because I ate my piece a little cold. I was trying to get set up, and I was like, "Wow, that's fucking."
I did not. I started tearing into it. I
was like, "Go ahead, man."
Well, to me, pancakes, man. That's one of those things that, for me, it's kind of got to be warm, man. Yeah, it's got to be warm. And then was that butter? Your homemade? What was that on top of it?
we do a ricotta butter. So we whip that together so it gets nice and airy. It's not just butter.
Yeah, it keeps some sweet to it.
Yeah, it has the right balance. And when you're talking about local honey poured across the top of it instead of syrup, like I told you, we have syrup. I have pure maple syrup. I have really good stuff. Yeah, but you can't beat this local honey with that corn flavor that's in the pancake, and that might turn some people off. And it's like, man, you really just don't know then. The pancakes we have on the weekend, it appeals to more people than the Johnny cake is. Right. The Johnny cake's only available that Wednesday through Friday, but it's one of my favorite things to eat. Yeah, I told that cook today, and I said, man, that is one of my favorite things that we've ever put out of this kitchen, period. That dude used to have anxiety about a pancake recipe the night before he worked his shift. Wow. And would come in stressed about it because it wouldn't rise, or he overbeat it, or he underbeat it. And it was just, it didn't come out the way he wanted to. And it's given him so much stress. This guy has this recipe down. It's his idea of his tattoo now.
And what's his name again?
Andrew Clifton. Yeah.
But you know, that's a great thing, because that shows his passion, bro. Yeah. You know, that shows what, I mean, I'm sure he's over that. I mean, for sure, right? He's over.
No, that's
so
who he is.
Yeah,
I mean, not about the pancake recipe, not about the Johnny cake. So I guess to your point, no. But that is Drew to a T. He is so passionate about it. He is driven by his anxiety of wanting to make sure everything is perfect. Yeah. And the way it comes out of the kitchen, man, how could you ask for a better employee than that, right?
And it showed. Yeah. It showed. I mean, through that taste, man. I mean, again, applaud him and you know, tell him that it was well appreciated.
I will.
Man.
I will.
Yeah.
So I got to ask this question, man. Do you cook at home like you cook here in the restaurant?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah. I mean, I do and I don't. I'm like anybody else that sometimes you just had it for the day and you want something quick and easy. Yeah. But no, for the most part, man, I mean, I made gnocchi on Monday night. Okay. Potato gnocchi. And then we had this idea, again, Luke, my chef de cuisine, about doing a masa gnocchi. Oh. All right. So if you've ever had gnocchi, potato gnocchi, it's a nice pillowy, almost dumpling type of a starch. Right. And it's nice. It's light. You can sear it and then you sauce it, and it's just perfect. So I just, research. I research. I can't say, you don't stop thinking about it is the whole thing. Yeah. That's the funny thing, is that I'm going to drive home and think about cooking. I'm going to think about the restaurant. I'm going to think about something.
And that goes hand in hand, right, Joe? Like, you know, everybody we've talked to, you know, that are passionate about it, whether it's artists, right? Mm-hmm. Whoever it is, what they're doing, man. That's all they're thinking about.
That's all they're thinking about.
We were talking to, we had Icons, a muralist on here, and we asked them, like, what do you guys do on your downtime? And
think about art.
Isaac was like, man, I just think about painting, man. That's all I think about, so that love, that passion, it shows in their art. Yep. And your love, your passion, it shows in your art here too, bro.
Thank you very much.
And it's very appreciated.
Appreciate it, guys.
Man, absolutely.
Yeah.
If you were going to have a final meal,
oh, man.
what is that meal?
That's my birthday meal, man. That's from my mom.
Hey, shout out Linda, man.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Shout out to Linda, man. It's going to be the chile verde. It's going to be a good tortilla, though. You know what I mean? Have you guys ever had Yoli's tortillas? Yoli. They're over on the west side now, too.
Maybe.
Maybe I have.
Yoli, dude. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if you ever had our chilaquiles, you ever had a taco, you ever had anything, dude, we use Yoli, man. They're great.
Okay.
They're great. I can't say enough about how good their products are. Even my masa, that fresh ground corn. I go down to Kansas Avenue and I pick it up from Arts Mexican Products.
Yeah.
Okay. And Arts was bought and owned by Yoli. Yoli won a James Beard Award for so prestigious for their bakery.
Wow.
They are incredible at what they do. Their products are incredible.
We need to get Yoli on an episode.
You need to get Yoli on an episode. I have a list of names that you need to get on the episode too, man.
Send them the way, man.
But what's so cool about Yoli, man, is they took over Arts, and it's just to restore it and not touch it. And keep it where it's at.
Arts is a legend, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's a legend.
I've been going there since I was a kid with my mom too to pick up
many
tortillas or masa or whatever.
The masa chip. Remember that hot hacienda masa chip?
Man. Yep. Yeah. So man, so Yoli, they're another good one, but it's going to be their tortillas, I would say.
It's amazing, brother. It's amazing.
Vince, man, you got a favorite word in Spanish, man?
Said a couple tonight.
Granja. Farm, man.
Oh, okay.
Farm.
Yeah.
Granja.
Nice.
There it is, man.
I mean, that makes sense, man. Yeah. Farmhouse.
Yeah, man.
Farmhouse, farm to table.
That's it. I mean, it says everything that we need to know about. My grandfather was born in 1900. He didn't have AC. He loved trees. I mean, he would sit there and he would admire a tree because of the shade it put off, because that's the only AC they got.
Bro.
You know what I mean? Yeah. There's just so much purity out there.
Purity. So, that's a good word, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Good word.
And everything.
Appreciate it.
Tell us you're from KC without telling us you're from KC, Vince.
Let's see. Let's say try burn in, man.
Hey,
burn ins. That's our thing, burn ins.
Where are you getting burn ins from?
Okie Joe's.
He's making them.
Okie Joe's. I mean, saying to make them, yes. Yeah. But if I'm just going to get them, Okie Joe's, dude. I love them.
That's like a Wednesday night special, I think. Or something like that.
It's only 2 days a week, I believe.
Yeah.
They might be doing more now, but dude, how about quoting Tech 9? This is the town where the clowns put it down, baby.
Hey,
let's go, dude. That's got to tell you. That might not hit everybody.
By the way, brother, man, Saturday, and I could not make it, but I was looking for tickets. Did you know Tech 9 performed at the Kansas City Symphony?
No.
At the Kaufman's?
No.
He performed there with the symphony.
Yeah.
Bro, I was trying so hard to find tickets.
Did you hear anything about it?
Oh, man, I seen video.
I seen some clips,
I seen video. It looks amazing, man. Yeah. I so regret not getting tickets early.
Yeah.
Dude, Tech's actually come in a few times, and it was funny. At that time, it was winter. We had a meatloaf sandwich on the menu, and he would just come in and keep getting the meatloaf. And, dude, last week, Cypress Hill was in town.
Yes. They showed up?
Oh, yeah. Dude.
They came here?
Oh, yeah. Be real, dude.
No
Got to shake his
way.
hand, tell him about my first concert experience was the Cypress Hill concert. And then, I'm not even joking, I'd say an hour and a half later, KJ Adams.
Wow.
Yeah, and I knew that would get you, man. KJ Adams, I'm not somebody that goes up and asks for an autograph. I don't do that.
Yeah.
Try not to make a big deal out of it. I was just like, hey, man, big fan. Thank you for coming in. And just kind of kept it moving.
You didn't say, like, by the way, how you like the food? No.
Maybe. I mean, he's a KU
what I know about
him. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. KU basketball player. What I know about him is he's big into cooking.
Oh, okay.
So we talked, just said a couple things about cooking and stuff.
Yeah.
And if there's one KU player besides DeJuan Harris too, that because when you're a KU fan, just so you guys know, we know our team.
Yeah.
We know our team. We support our team through thick and thin. And he is the player I would have wanted to meet, and he came in, so I had to go out there and just say what's up. And then when it came to Be Real, one of my guys was like, I think Be Real's out there. And I'm like, well, know if it's Be Real or not. Well, come over here. They told me what table he was at, and I just kind of walked by, and I was like, that's him. I went back over it. I was like, I don't do this. Really big fan. And he was like, thank you so much. Shook my hand, so down to earth. Man, we had Hugh Jackman come in. That was another cool one. Yeah, the Wolverine. I got to tell my nephews that the Wolverine came in. He says, and I still have it saved, screenshot, said it was the best corned beef hash he's ever had. He was in town. He had a band. He sends his whole band down here all to try the corned beef hash.
No way.
Nuts. Yeah.
Wow. That's dope, man. Yeah. I would have went up to Be Real and being like, insane in the membrane.
It's from the ball. It's from the ball.
Roll it up, light it up, slow
down. Baby. That's dope, man. That's dope, man. Look, man, I think, we're going to get out of here, Vince, man. This has been an amazing conversation with you, brother. We are so proud to be here with you in your place, man.
Likewise. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, man. Is there anything you want to say before we get off of here,
anything you want to share, man? Something that we didn't ask you, something you want to tell us? What's the next or something like that?
Just come down. Like you said, D-Rod, you said it. Wait. I'm sorry that you have to wait, but please wait. Check it out. And if you don't want to wait today, wait next time, or make the reservation.
Yeah.
We do in our high season, spring into summer, a little bit into fall, when the market's really going crazy and people are here. We lower our reservations. We don't take as many reservations so we can take more walk-ins because we're trying to appease the people that gave it a shot. Yeah. You know what I mean? Gave it a shot on a whim, or said, hey, you know what? Let's go put our name in and let's walk around the market. And we'll text you.
Yeah.
That's the other thing that we do. We'll text you and we'll let you know when your table's ready.
Right,
so you can come back. So give us
in.
a shot, man. Just give us a shot and
for sure.
Try it. You know what I mean? Give something you might not have normally tried a shot to.
Yeah. Hey, everybody in our audience, man, come down here, check him out, man. I mean, with everything he said today, man, tonight, man, why wouldn't you?
Dude's all about his roots. Dude's all about his cuisine. The pastries, the cinnamon rolls are on point. I'm telling you, they got a full bar. Yeah. D-Rod mentioned the tower, the Mimosa Tower.
Yeah, the Mimosa Tower for brunch. Voted best for brunch, man.
By several. Yeah. You pointed them out by several
magazines, man. They're all there,
So come holler at our boy Vince, man. Thank you again for joining us on Enterrupt KC, Vince.
Thank you, guys.
Y'all be sure to watch, share, like, follow, subscribe.
Comment.
JL.
Comment.
D-Rod. Peace.
Bye, everybody.